Happy holidays and welcome back to another episode of Parks Made Possible. I'm Nick.
I'm Kate.
And we're here to make your national parks trip possible. What we do is aim to bring you great insights and recommendations on having a wonderful experience when you visit America's national parks. So please like, comment, but most of all, please subscribe so you can stay in touch with us as we keep bringing you more helpful info about the parks.
On today's episode, we're going to embrace some winter. We're in our winter gear today. We're going to be walking through a few national parks that are great choices for winter visits. We're thinking of places that truly embrace the magic and solitude of winter, each offering a mix of snowy landscapes, plus activities like skiing, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, hiking, or just cozying up with a warm cup of coffee or hot chocolate.
Love it. Yes, once New Year's is in the rearview mirror, we always tend to really feel that grind of winter set in.
Yes.
And we usually develop an itch for travel. So, and obviously escaping the cold altogether is one strategy, going somewhere warm, go south. But we really wanted to focus on giving you some ideas of how to embrace winter, embrace the cold weather in all its beauty. So hoping that by the time this episode comes out, you can make time for a, January, February, March visit to one of these very epic places. So, yeah.
So as we go through these parks today, it is worth mentioning that winter constitutes an off-season visit. So parks are going to be a little bit less crowded, which is great for crowds and a little bit more peace and quiet. But our guidebooks are normally prepared for our peak and shoulder seasons. So if you do want help planning these trips during the winter, we recommend reaching out for custom plans, and we can help you work through that.
Yep, www.mytrippossible.com. We would love to help you out, even brainstorm activities of what to do in the winter. So with that, you want to jump into it?
Let's do it.
All right, what's park number one on our list of places to visit in the winter?
Park number one is Voyageurs National Park. So this park, I actually did not know much about this park, but in our research to finding a park that fit our criteria of winter wonderland vibes, this one came to the top of our list. It's located in Minnesota. It's up kind of sharing a portion of the border of Canada. And visitation annually, or it's 53rd out of 63 overall all year. So it's a more or less visited park, but 200,000 people are visiting annually.
Yeah, most of which in summer, so they can enjoy like the vast waterways of this park. So very, very few people visit in the winter, which I think is cool. I mean, it gives you that solitude we're talking about.
Yeah, so this is even a not very visited park in the summertime. So if you can imagine the solitude and kind of peace and quiet of a winter landscape in this park in the winter.
Yeah, so they call this, so it's in Minnesota, like you said. What is Minnesota? The land of 10,000 lakes, right? And that's very much what Voyageurs National Park is like. It, densely wooded forest land, but then really a majority of this park is water. It's, lakes, large lakes, small lakes, little islands in the middle of these lakes, waterways that connect them all. So in the summertime, you can houseboat, you can kayak, canoe, go hiking on land. But then in the winter, I think the thing that's special about Voyageurs is that all that water freezes, and you no longer need a boat to explore it. You can do it on foot. You can do it on a snowmobile. Snowshoes, cross-country skiing. It really does kind of beckon you to go a little bit further out and explore these remote islands and the true wilderness vibe that the Northwoods has to offer. So I think in researching this, it felt very much like a snow globe, like the sort of wintry vibe, the calm peace and quiet that you get with this mature forest that just really gets nice and quiet in wintertime. So I think it's really special, and it kind of makes me want to visit. Honestly.
Yeah, and if you look at Voyageurs like an aerial shot, it's literally like mostly water that's kind of surrounded by there's little islands everywhere. So imagine all of that like being connected by ice, like all the water kind of freezes over. And yeah, it looks super cool to explore like a winter wonderland.
Yeah. So it's one, we mentioned snowshoeing and cross country skiing and snowmobiling. Those will all come up with the next few parks as well. So just quickly, snowshoeing, I think it might sound, I want to make sure it doesn't sound too difficult. It's very easy. There's these things, you can rent them at the National Park Visitor Center. You can buy your own on Amazon. Who knows? You strap your feet into what looks like just like a tennis racket on your foot. And your toe is connected and your heel is detached so that you take very normal walking steps, and it just distributes your weight better across fluffy snow. So it's very easy. It just makes walking on, unpacked snow a lot easier than it normally would be. That's snowshoeing. It's kind of like hiking in the winter. It's great. I've done it. It's really, really fun, actually. Yeah. Then cross-country skiing is very similar too. You just, you wear thin, lightweight skis, again, where your heel is detached and allows you to kind of slide through packed down snow, usually in that case. So again, just kind of expands your footprint and where you're able to explore. Yeah. Ice fishing is another cool thing you can do here. It's one thing I think I've really always wanted to do is go ice fishing, but not yet.
That's definitely an embrace winter activity.
Yes,
you got to bundle up for that one.
Get the right gear. One
of the other perks to this park in the winter and the summer, but even more so in the winter because it gets darker earlier. These are some of the darkest skies in the lower 48 states. So stargazing and the Northern Lights make
the
appearance.
Northern Lights.
Yes.
Yep.
So definitely some great stargazing, and you can see the Milky Way really clearly in these parts because it's so clear. There's not a lot of light pollution.
No, not at all. Yeah, it's very, very neat. So yeah, with Voyageurs, the beauty is in the cold air, the crunching snow and the dark skies, long winter nights, if you will. So yeah, you want to jump into number 2?
Let's do it. Number 2 is Yellowstone.
This comes up again.
Yeah, Yellowstone makes so many lists, but this one, for winter reasons, is also on our lists this time around as well. So why don't you give us the overview of this one in the winter?
Yeah, Yellowstone, I mean, we've brought it up a couple times on this podcast for such good reason because it is like the vintage, iconic American national park. But that's usually, it's more directed towards summertime visits or maybe in the fall when you can drive the really well-connected road system through the park. But in winter, really as early as early November, those roads shut down with the exception of the very top northernmost road in the park that stays open year-round. Everything else closes down to automobile traffic. And what they do is they spend a few weeks grooming those roads for over snow travel. So travel in snowmobiles or in what they call snow coaches, which are super cool. You describe what a snow coach is.
I was explaining back to Nick yesterday when we were talking about this that it's kind of like a monster truck for like snow.
Totally.
But they've got these big tires. It's kind of like
huge tires, yeah.
Like a big passenger bus kind of thing, like tour bus, not a tour bus, but like a 15 passenger van kind of thing with super big tires.
Yeah, it just looks like it's not like tank treads, but they are just purpose-built snow tires that just push through anything in their way, it seems like. Yeah. So that's a snow coach. And a lot of concessionaires and tour companies in the Yellowstone area take people into the park on snow coaches. Take them into the reaches of the park, the interior, where automobiles cannot get to. But it's very, very well connected, and that park operates in a very purpose-built winter season. So there are lodges that are open in the winter. There are a couple restaurants that still have their doors open for people that are staying there. And then there are tours that you can take from the Old Faithful area or from the Mammoth area that take you into the snowy interior of Yellowstone. So, I mean, the things we love about Yellowstone in the summer are geysers, hot springs, steaming thermal features, and hot pools. Those don't go to sleep in the winter. They stay hot. They keep exploding. So they melt the snow around them. A lot of times you'll see wildlife kind of congregate near those warmer features because it melts the snow and creates an easier way, a path to some of the vegetation they eat. So I just found it really cool that, you just imagine that the park kind of goes to bed for the winter, but no, these thermal features are deep underground. They never rest. And that's kind of a cool thing about Yellowstone.
Yeah. And also with the geysers in the winter, obviously it's cold outside, but the water is still very hot. So as these geysers erupt, they're obviously steaming because they're so warm. And it kind of makes the viewing of these geysers not as beautiful, I guess.
Yeah,
it kind of like obstructs the view a little bit because the steam around the geysers, and then when they erupt, it's just steam around steam. So just keep that in mind. Don't be maybe expecting a like grand view of it because there's nobody there and you're in solitude a little bit. But so extra steam features.
Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting point of like what you can expect. You can also expect some very, very cold temperatures. I mean, a lot of Yellowstone is above 7,000, 8,000 feet in elevation, and it gets, frigid, biting cold. And a lot of the research we've done suggests like prepare for temperatures at 0, if not below, with wind chill. So you really need hardy gear. And it's also recommended that you get micro spikes for your shoes. In case, the boardwalks, which are not plowed, in case those get icy, or in case some of the trails you're on are covered in ice. Micro spikes help you dig in and get sure-footedness when you're exploring the wilderness, which it's worth it because with the amount of snow that this park gets, the silence that snow brings with it is very interesting. I mean, anyone who's kind of stood outside and listened to a snowfall, it's so quiet, because that snow literally absorbs sound. So when that's going on in Yellowstone, it feels like such a different park than it does in the summertime when you're hearing people or cars, or geysers erupt. All that just gets muffled a little bit extra when you're there in the winter, and just creates this really peaceful silence that I think you want to appreciate when you seek out a place like Yellowstone in the winter. So.
Yeah. I think one of the stories I've heard, my brother-in-law was at a bachelor party in Yellowstone in the winter.
They went to Yellowstone.
Yeah. And he was talking about how they were snowmobiling, but like how really, really cold it actually was. And like their beards were all like icy and frozen. Their mustaches were all white and eyebrows, just like extreme cold. So being prepared with the right gear and equipment to like extra warm mittens and gloves or like hand warmers, like those face gaiter sort of things that go around your entire
Cover
face.
every piece of skin that you can.
Yeah, maybe some ski goggles. But yes,
Definitely.
I think it's a unique experience that obviously you don't get that any other time of year.
No.
So.
And one other thing I think is worth mentioning, it's funny you talked about the snowmobiling. I know that those snowmobiles are meant to keep you comfortable and get you from point A to point B really efficiently. So I remember him saying that when you're driving these snowmobiles, you stick your hands into built-in mittens to the handlebars on the snowmobile that are warmed. It uses maybe the engine, I guess, to heat those handlebars. So that helps, obviously, because you need to be able to steer. But the wildlife viewing is what is, I think, really different in the winter because of the imagine the white background. Animals stand out a lot better against that backdrop. The bison, which are there all year long, they're always, moving their heads back and forth to plow snow out of the way so they can get down to that vegetation that they continue to eat. Wolves hunting those bison, they're there in the winter. A lot of elk stay there. Some of them go further south. But then you're seeing a lot of the megafauna that Yellowstone's famous for, but it seems a little bit easier because you can spot them better and it's so much quieter. They're not bothered by all the people. So I think that's neat too. If you really want a different wildlife viewing experience in Yellowstone, I mean, that's what it has to offer.
Yeah. And you can rent like scopes and things too if you just want to like stay in one place so you don't have to worry about moving around too much, but just up on like a little hillside and kind of scope out into the valleys and
totally
look at the wildlife from there. It's awesome.
And that's a great point. I think it is still worth mentioning. You can visit Yellowstone in your own automobile, in your own vehicle. It's just that one road in the northern half of the northern loop of the park that they try to keep open year round. Obviously, snowstorms can affect that. But the town of Gardner in the area of Mammoth Hot Springs, that's open year round for automobile traffic. So yeah, you can always do a little auto tour through that area of the park if you want. If you don't want to rent a snow coach, which I'm sure they can be expensive, or hop on a snowmobile tour, that's one way to visit Yellowstone yourself. So
Great.
all right.
Let's get into number 3, Grand Teton National Park. So, as you probably know, Grand Teton is defined by these very jagged mountains that kind of they silhouette the sky. But imagine like everything being blanketed in snow. It's just the classic winter landscape that you kind of can visualize. So I think something to note about Grand Teton, it is very close to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yes.
So Jackson Hole is known for a lot of skiing in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So
it's a destination for sure.
Yes.
Yep.
So if you are into doing some skiing, like downhill skiing sort of things, or snowboarding, you have that option kind of close by to be able to do a little bit of both, to go see the beautiful mountains in Grand Teton National Park, and then also do some skiing or winter activities.
Yeah, I mean, like
Jackson Hole.
world-class snow skiing, downhill skiing. I think Jackson Hole has 2 really well-known ski resorts: the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort and Snow King Resort. That's very close to the town of Jackson. Both of those are excellent places to ski. The town of Jackson is a lovely place to stay. I mean, it's so charming, especially in winter. I feel like it's very, very charming and vibrant, very holiday themed. Just feels like the place that you'd like to cozy up, go out to dinner, have hot chocolate, have a glass of wine, and just walk around that town and enjoy the charm that it has. And the neat thing is that if you have had your fill of people in restaurants, go an hour north into Grand Teton National Park and get away from everybody, because that is what, again, this very similar vibe to Yellowstone. They close some of the roads and then groom them for over snow travel. So more snowmobiling, more snowshoeing, more cross-country skiing. It's just so many people don't like the inconvenience of not being able to go places in their car. When you can drive your car up to the parking lot in which the road gets closed, hop out, strap on your skis or strap on your snowshoes, and get away from everybody and appreciate the lovely silhouetted mountains and the snow-capped peaks. Gosh, snow's everywhere. The frozen lakes, Jenny Lake, Jackson Lake, Phelps Lake, all these famous bodies of water that give Grand Teton such charm in the summer. Those freeze over in the winter. So you can ice fish, you can walk out into these things and look up at the peaks above you. I really believe that it's a place to appreciate the solitude and the peace and quiet in an otherwise crowded park in the summer. So,
and you mentioned one of the roads is kind of closed off in the south of the park, I think, because they just don't plow it and they keep it covered for snowshoeing and cross-country skiing. But I do think they do like guided tours too with that. If you're a little nervous about doing it on your own, you can hire a guide or somebody to kind of take you and your group through the snow.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, rangers do guided snowshoe hikes, from some of the visitor centers there. You're right. That's a great call out. You don't need to navigate everything on your own. Joining a ranger-led snowshoe hike in the Tetons sounds epic. I mean, I wonder the cool things that you could learn in such a small, intimate setting with a ranger would be really neat. Yeah. One more thing about Grand Teton is the wildlife. Yet again, some of the animals in Yellowstone, which is only an hour and a half, 2 hours north, migrate down from those high elevations into the Jackson Hole Valley area. So you'll see a lot of elk in the wintertime, particularly in the National Elk Refuge, which is right on the outskirts of town, right there. So again, a fantastic opportunity to see some very large animals in their natural habitat. So I think it just sounds like such a neat place to be in the winter, this Jackson Hole area.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Crater Lake.
Crater Lake, park number 4 on our list today. This is special to me because I have been here in the winter, and it was like a fairy tale. I mean, it really was something that reminded me and brought me back to just a simpler time. You know, if you don't know anything about Crater Lake, it was formed when a volcano thousands of years ago erupted and cratered in on itself to create this caldera. That caldera filled with rain and snow to create the clearest water in the United States. I believe it might even be in all of North America. The clearest water. They've measured this. So what you're left with is an unbelievably blue lake that is at the top of a mountain. It's scenery that is hard to really describe until you're there. But imagine the top half of a mountain getting blown off and then filled with the most pristine blue water you can imagine. Then add in snow everywhere. You know, add in evergreen trees that are covered in a blanket of fresh snow. I snowshoed there with my sister in the month of February because the nice thing about Crater Lake is that while it is up a mountain, they keep the access road plowed year round. So you can get up there and experience the magic of winter. So
tell us about this plowed road, though.
Oh my gosh. So this, it is interesting. They plow it, but they have to plow it constantly because Crater Lake gets more snow than most other places in the United States. So when we're driving up this plowed road to the top of the rim there, the snow is higher than the car that you're in. You can't see past it.
It's like a tunnel that you're like snow walls on both sides, which if you think about it, if you're trying to plow snow off the road, but there's nowhere for it to go, it just like kind of
keeps pushing itself back or over. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really neat. It was surreal to see that much snow. I'd never seen that much snow in my life, but it happens so frequently there. This was just a really special experience, so I wanted to make sure we recommend it because a place like this with this much snowfall would normally close down in the winter months, but they work very hard to grant access to people who want to experience that special winter season in such a neat place. I mean, you saw the videos that we took from this trip. I mean, what were your takeaways from the snowshoeing adventure that we took along the rim?
Honestly, you mentioned earlier one of the other ones sounded like a snow globe. This legit is like I would see this inside of a snow globe. So the caldera you mentioned, like the rim of where the volcano was, and it fell in on itself. That alone is really cool because it kind of gives you these like edges and cliffs that go down to the lake. So be careful, obviously. But again, there was another volcano that kind of came after that.
Oh, that's right.
That like formed a little island in the middle
of the lake. That's right.
Yeah,
Wizard Island.
Wizard Island. Thank you. So from the pictures I saw from your trip, it was like inside of a snow globe, this little island, snowy island with the evergreen trees and whatnot. Everything's just blanketed in this beautiful, peaceful snow.
Yes.
And there you don't see any people or anything. And it's just this beautiful.
Oh yeah. It was so peaceful. In the amount of seclusion that you experience there in the winter, it was like nothing I've experienced because it's hard to imagine that you have all that beauty to yourself, but it was real. We were there. We stood on the edge of the rim and looked out on this lake with nothing but the sound of nature, of the wind, of our footsteps in the snow. That was it. It was insanely tranquil, so peaceful. It was a very special experience, and what it did was help me appreciate winter more, which is part of why we're doing this episode. You don't need to wait for summer to travel. Get out there in the winter and go to a place like Crater Lake, where they try very hard to give people the chance to experience that magic.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'll have to bring you next time.
Yeah, definitely. We also forgot to mention Crater Lake is located in South Central Oregon. So giving you a little geography there.
The best place to fly in if you're trying to go to Crater Lake only would probably be Medford, Oregon. You could also go into Portland, but it would be a longer drive to get there. But it is. Oregon, it's a lovely area by itself, but then when you toss in Crater Lake, it makes it very much worth it. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's get to number 5.
Number 5, one of our favorites. I know we've mentioned it before, but we really wanted to focus on Bryce Canyon National Park in the winter. I think if you listen to this podcast before, you know how much we love Bryce Canyon in the summer and in the fall. But why would a winter visit be especially rewarding here?
I think the snowfall on the extreme like rock formations that they have in Bryce, the hoodoos, if you remember from our previous episodes. The hoodoos are these like little like rock formations that actually form from like the freezing and thawing of water and ice. So in the winter, you're kind of in the freeze season, obviously. But these hoodoos are just like all over this like amphitheater of hoodoos and just like blanketed in this nice fluffy snow. It gives them like so much more dimension and honestly appreciation for like what is actually in front of you. I mean, you kind of see that in the summertime too when there's not snow there, but it's even more pronounced with the snow. And I think it's a totally unique experience. Like just looking at pictures of it even is just breathtaking.
Yeah, I think the scenery in Bryce Canyon is already surreal. And then when you add in a dusting of snow, like you said, it creates another dimension of shape and light and shadow to these hoodoos, these super tall rock spires. And then you know those are orange and red, and then the white snow, the blue sky, the tall green pine trees at the bottom of the amphitheater. It actually is a very colorful, beautiful mosaic scene that you're experiencing, and you can do it from the rim of the amphitheater, or you can strap on some micro spikes or some snowshoes and go down through all of it, which is always what we suggest because it makes you feel so much more immersed in what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah. The environment walking through the hoodoos in Bryce is still one of the most special hikes we've ever done. So imagine doing that in winter. I think it would be incredibly unique.
Yeah. It still can get pretty cold. So obviously still plan to bundle up. And also something to note too, some of the trails can close due to the hoodoo instability. So as I mentioned, the freezing and thawing, sometimes they might be a little bit precarious. They might be crumbling or falling over potentially. So they will close trails for situations and scenarios like that.
Yeah, totally. That's a good call. Remember, I mean, this is how the hoodoos form is the freezing and thawing cycle of water. It makes those rocks burst. So if they're afraid of something like that happening near a popular trail, they're going to close it. But there's still plenty of other things I think to do in this park for sure.
I even think, I mean, if you're not up for hiking down into the I guess canyon or into like the hoodoo
the amphitheater
forest.
Yeah.
You could even just walk along the rim of the trails or stay in the cozy lodge at the top and, you know, have your coffee and
oh my gosh,
cozy up in your little fuzzies. But I feel like that would still be a beautiful experience too, just to
for sure
see all of that.
I think it's neat because with such a popular park not by itself, Bryce is popular, but it's in such a popular corridor of America. You know, people hear all about Zion, right? In the Utah Mighty Five, the 5 national parks in Utah. I think it's special to seek one of them out in its off season. And Bryce is probably the best one to do it in, we would argue. So it's an intentional visit to see an extraordinary landscape in a less popular time of year. And I think it's so rewarding because without the incredible amount of crowds that you would see in the summer or fall, you're granted just all the time in the world to soak it in by yourself or with your loved ones, with your family. And the one thing we didn't mention was this is another park with incredible night sky. It's a dark sky park. So again, the Milky Way sort of tilts out of the night sky during winter months. But the clearer air and the fact that Bryce is at 8,000 feet of elevation means there's almost no light pollution to cloak the incredible starlight that you can see, you know, in the winter. So I still think it's very worthwhile to do that. Yeah. All right. Anything else to add, or do we want to wrap this up?
I don't think so. I think hopefully this episode inspired you to explore in the winter. I know I personally just feel so depressed in winter, just like cooped up, and like the kids are going stir crazy and there's nothing to do. I'm going to put that in quotes. There's so much to do. Like, embrace the winter, get outside, bundle up.
The cold doesn't feel as bad, I think, when you're purposeful about getting out there and exploring it. It really doesn't. You know, it feels more adventurous. It feels more intentional. And
Yeah.
I think it's just so much more rewarding.
Try a new activity, like go skiing, go snowmobiling, try snowshoeing. A lot of this equipment you can rent at a lot of places that are in these towns.
Great
It's part
point.
of their winter tourism. So if you need help finding any of these amenities or activities, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help plan the trip, find you rentals, whatever your trip needs. We're happy to help.
We're here. Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Parks Made Possible. That completes our list of the top 5 parks to visit in the magic of winter. So for travelers willing to embrace the cold temperatures and embrace slower days, winter visits really do create a trip that feels purposeful and deeply rewarding. So this is a reminder that winter isn't something to endure or escape. It's a season that transforms these parks into something rare and extraordinary.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.